What's up, everybody? Jeremy Weiss here with Weiss Tech Hockey, and this is the follow-up video to a video that we did a couple days ago that was talking about USA Hockey's rule change with respect to icing on the penalty kill. And in the previous video, we talked about how that's going to affect your power play. So what this rule change does to your power play. In that video, we said we'd do a follow-up and talk about the PK. So if you haven't watched the first video, I definitely recommend you go do that. It's a quick video talking about, changes that you might see, things to consider when, what this rule change will mean for your power play. Of course, this one is what that rule change will mean for your penalty kill. And in my mind, it changes the penalty kill a lot more than it changes the power play. So I think it's probably worth watching both videos. But this one, there are definitely some additional considerations with the penalty kill. If you're not familiar with the rule change we're talking about, basically you can no longer ice the puck. In USA Hockey, starting the 2017-2018 season, you can no longer ice the puck when your team is on the penalty kill. And that is for the U14 age groups and younger. So U14, U12, and U10. U8s by USA Hockey standard, if they're playing according to USA Hockey's recommendations, they're going cross ice, so there is no icing in the cross ice games. But so this is primarily going to affect U14s, U12s, and U10s. So what are we looking to do? We can no longer dump the puck out. So we get the puck back, we cannot ice it. If we do, it's just going to be treated as if it were a 5-on-5 icing, face off back in our own zone, and we're going to have to go straight back into our defensive coverage mode from there. So we've got to figure out a way to control the puck and, give ourselves as much advantage as possible. I think especially in the initial phases of this, the advantage goes to the power play. And what we recommended in the power play video is to get super aggressive on this because, the other team can no longer just dump the puck out. So there's certain parts of this that we're going to treat similar to a regular breakout, but then there's going to be some tweaks that we make. Let's just say that we're in a basic, wedge +1 type defensive zone coverage type PK setup, and it's fairly standard. This may change a little bit depending on the power play setup that you're seeing, but let's just kind of give this as a general starting point. Defenseman goes out. Let's just say he gets the puck back. Okay. What I like to see, and this is fairly standard with all my breakouts, is first two steps this defenseman takes are going to be towards the back of the net. Okay, we call this the quiet zone, and generally speaking, unless the puck is back there, there's not going to be anybody back there to get in the way. Now, once you start skating back there, that's part of what we're trying to do. We want to put the other team in a position where they have to make decisions, and we know what those two decisions are going to be. So we'll put them into a position where we say, okay, they're either going to make option A or option B, and if they choose option A, we know what we're doing. If they choose option B, we know what we're doing. So we have a contingency for either way. And then it just becomes a read and react game where we try to stay one step ahead of what the other team's doing. So most of the time we initiate the breakout by taking our first two steps towards the back of the net. And then from there, we're reading and reacting based on what the other team is doing. So what I recommended in the power play video is that they get, always outnumber the puck carrier. So expect to have two guys on you. If it's an aggressive power play team, then yeah, you'll have two players on you. So depending on how they set up, depending on where they are, the options are going to look like this. The defenseman's either going to skate the puck from one side of the net to the other. If the pressure's on his or her inside shoulder, then there could be a misdirection there, a quick turn back towards the boards. If they're doing what I recommended in the previous video and are getting two players hard and fast on, almost like I recommended having, two guys low, two guys in the middle, and one guy back, almost like a torpedo style forecheck. A 2-1-2 that kind of shifts into a 2-2-1 with an aggressive pinch. If you're seeing that, then it may make some sense, if you can make it happen, to do a quick D-to-D pass. Okay. So this is the first element, and I think that the quicker the puck movement, the more chance for success you're going to have. Now, obviously, in this case, you would have your defensive partner dropping down. If I can get this guy to cooperate with me, dropping down, and then from there they're going to initiate the breakout. let's keep going from there. So if we can get the puck movement faster than the forecheck, then we're going to have some additional space, and it's going to be especially important in that initial play. So it's going to be either a sprint behind the net or a quick D to D pass behind the net. Now, here's the other kicker on this is after you make that D to D pass, we want to get this other defenseman back out in front of the net as quick as possible. So don't hang out, don't dilly-dally, get back in front of the net. We want to make sure we protect that house, especially on the PK. Okay, so from here, let's talk a little bit about what the forwards are doing. Obviously, there's only 2 forwards now, so we're going to have to do some things a little bit differently than we would do for a 5-on-5 breakout. But like I said, we don't have choice. We're locked into this rule, and we've got to make the best of it. So here's what I recommend doing. Again, we want to put the other team in a position where they're having to make decisions, and where we want to spread out. Part of what they're going to try to do is really bog you down. If they're gonna try to outnumber the puck, they're going to be heavily overloaded on the one side. So if we can move the puck quickly and then spread out that defending team, that power play team, then we're going to have a better chance of disrupting their power play. We're not necessarily looking to get a lot of scoring chances, although that may happen on this. But what we're really primarily looking to do is make them waste time. We still want to get the puck deep into their zone, but we want to make them waste time in the process. So we want to spread them out, make it so they're having less likelihood of getting the puck back and getting the puck back in a position where they can jump straight back into their power play formation, and then get the puck deep into their zone so it burns time off the clock. So whichever direction that puck ends up going, okay? So if they hit the brakes and come back out the strong side, it's going to be a little different. But if they go D to D or skate it from one side to the other, then this forward who was the weak side winger, he's just going to get straight across, okay? Now, you may tweak this, you may mess with it a little bit, you may have him swing down and up, bottom up type breakout. There may be situations where you feel like it makes sense to have him kind of swinging from the top down. In my mind, especially on the PK, I think it makes sense to keep it simple. So get him or her over, butt on the boards. Doesn't need even necessarily have to be in motion, okay? And then we're going to have we've got a few different options from here. Okay, first option is a board side breakout pass. Okay, so the D either skates it from one side to the other, or a D to D pass and a quick up to the board side. Okay, now normally we would say, okay, well, the centerman's going to be swinging through, right? And the centerman would be swinging through, providing that middle support. I think, we could have the forward doing that, but I think there may be a better option, an option that will mess with the power play a little bit more. And here's what I'm going to propose with this. Is this forward here is going to kind of be watching and waiting. He doesn't want to blow the zone too early, doesn't want to leave the zone too early, but when it becomes apparent that we've got a controlled breakout in the works, so he waits, and then explodes out, okay? So it's got to be a quick, get out into the neutral zone quickly. Once he or she decides to go, then it's got to be a quick sprint out there, okay? Now from here, we've got some different capabilities, some different possibilities, I should say. Okay, we can have him kind of hanging out and then cutting across the middle and be looking straight for that stretch pass. Okay, and before I say this, I should probably say him leaving the zone, what does that do? Again, we're going back in decision-making mode. It forces the other team's defenseman, at least one of them, to make a decision, right? Do I stay? Do I stay and maintain our attempted power play, forecheck? Or do I leave and protect against a possible breakaway there, right? And so most likely they're going to have at least one defenseman that backs out of the zone. Now, if they're doing an attempted, 2-2-1, that may be their only defenseman back. So now all of a sudden you've created a lot of space here in this, kind of mid-range area here, okay? So you can go for a direct pass. What I think would probably be even more successful, especially with the a little bit older guys, I'm talking U12s, U14s, is like a slap shot off the far boards. Okay, so it's got to be quick puck movement, D to D up and slap it across and out. Okay, if you get the right angle, and that might be something to practice. If you get the right angle, that'll bounce out into the middle. And then again, this guy he's on his way out. He just adjusts his or her route and then picks up that puck. Could be a possible breakaway situation. I don't think that you'll get away with it a whole bunch of times in one game, but you might get one or two. And then from there, that player can dump it in. Eventually, though, the other team is going to start picking up on it, and they'll start keying in, and that won't be available anymore. They may send more pressure on this board side man, or they may reconfigure it to defend against that dump out. But once they start adjusting, then we start adjusting. Remember, we put them in a mode where they make a decision, then we adjust off their decision. We know which decisions, which options, which possibilities we're giving them, and then we take them away. After this defenseman makes the pass, we still want to have some middle support there. So what I'm proposing is that the defenseman becomes the middle support. So fills that lane where the centerman would be. Okay. Now that gives us some more options here. So after that defenseman makes the pass, so it's either, again, remember, we're either going D to D and up, or skating it and then, board side pass. And then from here, we can do that little, once they start taking away these stretch options, then we can start getting, back into this little, more of a conventional style breakout. We open it up. We use the stretch to open up the short pass. Once that defenseman, so we go, up to the forward and then, quick touch pass back to the defenseman who's swinging through where the centerman would normally be. And then from there, we like to say that defenseman goes wide, or, in a regular 5-on-5, that would be the centerman. So he's coming through and, pulling wide. And then what we do is we always have, we want to continue to protect ourselves. And I like to do this in a 5-on-5 scenario as well, but it's even more important when you're short, is after making that touch pass, then this forward swings, kind of providing that backside support, swings in behind his or her pass. And so that way, if the defenseman mishandles it or it gets chipped off the defenseman's stick, then we've got a forward and backside support. Or if they bobble it or lose it, or the defenseman gets stood up here, then, we've got a forward peeling back so that there's still two men back. Okay, so we've got our defenseman and then our other forward. Now from here, we've still got the same thing. Like that, if that defenseman hasn't left, if they've still got one defenseman back, maybe one defenseman left, the other one held. So instead of going to 2-2-1, they're going to 2-1-2. With two defensemen still back, that defenseman has to make a decision now. Do I back up or do I stand the line here? My partner's already had to back out. Do I stand the line? Do I, what do I do here? Depending on where that situation goes and depending on what type of space this stretch forward has, there may be an opportunity for another, possible stretch pass just a little bit later. Okay? Possible option there. Or, at the very least, this defenseman continues to skate it up, passes the red line, and then is able to dump it in. We go into our PK forecheck. Then, of course, there's the option of having the defenseman skate it up. If they've taken away that board side breakout. Defenseman just walks around, skates it up the middle, him or herself, and then from there, the defenseman can make the stretch pass, like we're talking about. The defenseman can make the bank pass, like we've mentioned. All the same possibilities still apply. It's just a question of what do they take, what do they shut down? What do they take away? So, have that defenseman thinking about that as a possibility of, that he or she may be the one initiating, the stretch pass option. So those are kind of the main things that I'm seeing. Again, we're forced into a situation now where we have to have a PK breakout. So how are we going to do it? What's the best way to combat what I feel are going to be the advantages that the power play gains from this rule change? I'm interested to see it. Keep your comments coming in, and especially as the season gets rolling in the fall, I would love to know what you guys are seeing, what feedback. And we'll be back again later with more videos. Make sure you visit weisstechhockey.com for more videos like this, drills, skills, systems videos, everything related to hockey and coaching development.